Great War is here.
Drink on! I swear I did that about 3 or 4 times throughout the course of this whole season. My brother can attest to it. Definitely. What's up, guys? My name is Nick Pell. This is coming from my part, and we are talking about Game of Thrones Season 7. I just watched the finale. I will not go into the finale till the end in case for some reason you're watching this, you're not caught up. Obviously, I'll be talking about Season 7 of Game of Thrones. If you have not seen Seasons 1 through 6 yet, go watch those, come back, because I don't want to spoil stuff for you if I don't have to, and we'll be going over the course of highlights pretty much of the whole season. I can't touch on everything or else this would be an hour-long video. So I'm going to try to go through things as fast and as detailed as I possibly can. So yeah, if you want to discuss anything after the video that I didn't touch on for whatever reason, or anything that I did touch on, leave it in the comments down below. Most likely I'll respond to you there. So Season 7, this is one season which a lot of people have been looking forward to, because one big thing which it finally does bring together is Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen in episode 3 of this season. I will, though, start off where we are leaving most of these characters. Jon Snow has been named King of the North. Daenerys is sailing towards Dragonstone, the place where she was born. She's sailing there with Tyrion, who is now her Hand of the Queen, which is a really cool thing, which I love seeing. We have Arya coming back from the Faceless Men, going towards originally King's Landing, and then going towards Winterfell. Sansa has been freed from the Boltons. She is now at Winterfell as a Lady of Winterfell, and a Stark. Again, finally. Cersei blew up the Great Keep with the green fire stuff, and she is now Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, which is lovely. And Jaime has returned from the battlefield. He sees the Great Keep blown up, has learned that Tommen is dead through suicide, and we get to start off the season there. So that's lovely. So that's where all of our main players are at the beginning of the season. Let's start talking. Again, Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen. Them coming together is the biggest thing that a lot of people want to see, mainly because of the rumors and the speculation that Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen. Daenerys is his aunt, Jon is her nephew, and when we get to see these two people finally interact for the first time in 7 seasons, it's a really exciting thing to see. And recently, it's a little bit tense when they first meet because Jon is a king, Daenerys is a queen. They both want something from the other person. Daenerys wants him to bend the knee. Jon wants dragonglass from Dragonstone, and he wants her help to fight the dead people. So they're a little bit at odds with each other at first. They do eventually kind of soften up to each other by the end of their first meeting in episode 3, which is a nice thing to see. Daenerys lets him mine the dragonglass from Dragonstone and is a sign of good faith, and their relationship develops from that point onward, and I'll talk about it more later on. After Jon has left Winterfell, he leaves Sansa in charge of it, and eventually Arya returns. And seeing Arya return to Winterfell, finally, after a very long time of her not being there, was a really cool thing to see. But she quickly realizes that this is not the Winterfell that she remembers. There are different people there. There's hardly anybody that she remembers there, aside from Sansa. And I really loved her interaction with Brienne right away. When we see Arya go up to her, it's like, oh, I want you to teach me. And they do their little sparring thing, and Arya essentially beats her, or at least is able to pull a draw with her. That's really impressive since Brienne is a really strong warrior. And it does put Sansa a little bit at odds and gets Littlefinger's head started a little bit because he's essentially her advisor at this point. We also have Bran back at Winterfell a little bit before Sansa gets there, and he is a little bit out of it. It seems like nobody really understands all this Three-Eyed Raven stuff which he went through over the last 5 seasons or 6 seasons. And so they're just all kind of just trying to go along with it for the most part, and they think that maybe something a little bit weird happened to him. But he does know a lot of things, and he gives Arya this dragon glass dagger, which presumably will be a big help in Season 8. And because a lot of central plots taking place with Jon and Daenerys and Cersei and Jaime and a bunch of the King's Landing and Cersei versus Daenerys type of war type stuff happening, they kind of have to structure a plot to happen, or at least some sort of storyline to happen in Winterfell in regards to all these people. And one way that they do that is to put some sort of tension between Sansa and Arya while they're at Winterfell, show it like, oh hey, the other's gonna betray you, and they discover little things about each other which they don't necessarily appreciate or like. So by the finale, it does kind of seem like one of them is going to end up killing the other, and I will talk about how that works out by the end of this video. Cersei, as far as I can remember, doesn't really do a whole lot this season. She talks a few times, and she's a fine actress and everything. But her character, until the last episode, doesn't really have a whole lot to do. She pays off the debt to the Iron Bank and wants to bring in this golden army. some place in Bravo, some really fancy army with elephants, I guess. Otherwise, she does get pregnant with another baby of Jaime's, and so she has that. Again, I guess one little thing of note, which a lot of people have commented on this season, is how fast people can freaking go from place to place to place this season. Because aside from Samwell, essentially, who's at the Citadel and becoming a maester and discovering things, people are jumping from place to place to place very quickly. Expeditions which would have taken a whole season to come to fruition are passing by within seconds on the show. And it's kind of humorous to see that happen, because you'll have one scene where people are in King's Landing and the next scene where they're back in Dragonstone or Winterfell or wherever they have to go next. And it's just kind of a funny thing to see happen when the show has been traditionally a lot slower paced. Now let's get to some of the highlights. One thing which I really liked is seeing that Tyrion's master plan for taking Westeros failed initially. He lost the Sand Snakes to Euron's ship battle, which was a very fun, very cool cinematic scene to see play out. And that one scene was probably better than the whole Pirates 5 movie, just saying. He has the Unsullied sail for Castaway Rock to take that, because that's the home of the Lannisters traditionally, and he figures that's a big spot to take to get on Jaime and Cersei's bad side. That plan falls through. They do take it, but then Euron comes in and destroys all their ships, so they're basically stranded there. And Jaime leads all the other troops to Highgarden, where they take Highgarden and kill off Lady Tyrell. I don't remember her name. But in that conversation between Jaime and Lady Tyrell, and I really liked how Jaime just was very civil with her, even though it's like, you have to die, essentially. They both accepted that. She does get one little jab in by admitting that, oh hey, it was me who came up with the idea to kill your son Joffrey by poison, so ha 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 ha. So that was really neat to see, just that Tyrion is not this person who's just gonna come up with this plan, wipe out Westeros in one fell swoop, and oh hey, here it is for you, Danny, on a silver platter. Not that easy, and I was glad that it wasn't just that simple. They didn't just take it in one fell swoop. That said, in retaliation for losing a lot of stuff, Danny brings in a dragon and takes down a lot of Lannisters, and probably one of the best scenes of the show thus far. Jaime and Bronn bringing all the gold and supplies and whatnot they've gathered from Highgarden and the places surrounding it to take back to King's Landing. You have the Dothraki coming in on their horseback, slaughtering Lannister soldiers, and then you have the dragon come in and burn everybody to a crisp, and it's just fantastic. And the episode ends with Jaime riding on horseback with a lance to attempt to kill Daenerys, and then gets saved by Bronn because the dragon almost kills him. So that was a really interesting ending, and probably one of the best scenes of the whole show, probably, in my opinion. And then progressing a little bit, we have Daenerys agreeing to help Jon fight the army of the dead, even though she still has her issues believing it firsthand. But she does send him on an expedition north of the Wall to grab a living White Walker to bring back south to prove to everybody, oh hey, this is an actual threat, we need to rally together to defeat this thing. So then we have episode 6, Beyond the Wall, which has this 7-person expedition led by Jon Snow north of the Wall to try to take a dead person back. And as you expect, it goes pretty south. They fight an ice polar bear, which was an interesting scene, and then eventually they end up on an island surrounded by an ice pool and surrounded by hundreds of thousands of undead people led by the Night's King. So that was fun. Thankfully, they're saved by Daenerys, who brings in her 3 dragons, I think 3 dragons, and one of them is shot down. Viserion is shot down by the Night King with a lance. He just throws it, just impales Viserion. You see this fire spurt out of its chest. It just crashes into the ice, just ends up sinking down into the water. And you just see the pain on Dany's face, because this is one of her children, essentially. She thinks that the dragons as her children. And to see one of them just die like that and being helpless to do anything about it just is painful for her, because, again, she doesn't think that she's going to be able to have any other children in her lifetime, so she thinks of these things as her children, and it died. Jon sacrifices himself to get them out of the way so that Drogon does not follow Viserion's suit and get killed himself. Narrowly misses a impalement himself and flies them all back to safety. Jon ends up riding away thanks to his uncle randomly showing up. And at the end of the episode, they're on a boat sailing to King's Landing with an undead held hostage, and Jon bends his knee, essentially while resting and recovering, to Daenerys, and you can tell that there's some lovely tension between them. Sexual tension, not bad tension. And then we have the finale that I just watched now, so let's talk about that. First thing that they started out with, which I love that they started out with this, is the meeting between everybody in King's Landing. We have Jon, Daenerys, Tyrion, Theon. We have everybody on Daenerys' side coming together, and we have everybody on Cersei's side coming together. A lot of these characters who have never been in the same place at the same time are finally coming together and being able to act together for the first time. It's a really neat thing to see. And this could have gone a number of different ways. You really didn't know what to expect with how this thing was going to go. We could have had Drogon just burning King's Landing to the ground. You never knew. I had a feeling that wouldn't happen, but you never know. Instead, because of a lot of conversation and thanks to Tyrion in the end, Cersei does decide to suspend her armies, agree to the truce, the ceasefire that Daenerys wants in order for them to come together to fight the army of the dead. And that's something which I was very surprised about. I did not expect to see Cersei just give it in like that to, okay, I'm going to be sensible and reasonable and help fight you guys. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, but I will help to preserve the living if I can. And I was happy, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a really cool season. We have everybody coming together to fight off the living. And then later in the show, you find out that she lied. She has no intention to send her armies to the north to fight the dead people. She's just going to let the Northerners and Daenerys' army fight the dead and assume that they can take care of it. And she's going to try to reclaim Westeros while that's happening. So, yeah, that's a bitch move. But one thing which I really liked is that Jaime was not okay with that. He gave his word, his pledge, his honor that he was going to go and fight and bring his men to join the Northern cause. Cersei's like, no, you're staying here because I'm me. And Jaime leaves. He leaves King's Landing, he leaves Cersei, and I loved it. I loved it so much because we have Jaime finally sticking up for himself for first time in God knows how long to Cersei. Will he come back? Will he fulfill the prophecy which says that he is going to end up killing her to some degree? I don't know. It could be Arya who wears his face sometime. You never know. Or it could be some sort of twist. I think Cersei is going to die to some degree in the first half of season 8. She has to die because we have to get her armies to help the North to fight off the dead because they're coming and it's bad. And season 8 is 6 episodes. She needs to be dealt with very, very quickly, and I think she will because all the episodes are 80 minutes next season. Back in Winterfell, we have Sansa summoning Arya to the Great Hall. It looks like she is going to put Arya on trial for murder and conspiracy, and she ends up directing that at Littlefinger, and that was the best because I was assuming that Littlefinger was going to get offed in this episode, but I just loved how they did it. Again, a lot of people predict it from what I saw. The way that Aidan Gillen plays Littlefinger in the show, just his reaction to it was so spot on because he's a guy who picks up and guesses every single possible scenario. He didn't guess this one. And then eventually when you have Arya just slicing his throat in one fell swoop, she slits the dagger back into its hold right away. It was just fantastic, and it was well deserved. And now that he's out of the coop per se, so yeah, we have Sansa and Arya defending Winterfell, and presuming that things go like I think they're going to, Sansa will probably beat the Lady of Winterfell for a very long time. Because towards the end of the episode we have Bran and Samwell, because Samwell eventually shows up at Winterfell after being the only person to not be able to fast travel, apparently. He and Bran have a conversation, and they put the pieces together that Jon is the legitimate heir of Rhaegar Targaryen. He is Aegon Targaryen, and the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. He is Daenerys' nephew. She is his aunt. That is official now, and I'm glad that they finally dealt with that in this episode. Presumably in episode 1 of season 8, he will find out officially, and whether or not it puts issues between him and Dany, I'm assuming immediately it will, but then they'll get over it because it's the show. But that was definitely the biggest bomb and the biggest like OMG moment of the season, of the episode, because it finally revealed the biggest theory that fans have had since the beginning. And now we can move on and see what the show is going to do in season 8. And I can't stop this without talking about the very last scene. We have undead Viserion being ridden by the Night King, basically taking down the wall. We have Tormund manning the wall. He sees the dragon. He's like, get the fuck out of here. And we see the wall collapse. I'm guessing that Tormund survives somehow. Just either gets down far enough where he can survive the fall, or something, or he just is able to run to Winterfell, let Jon know once he gets there, oh hey, the dead brought down the wall and they're coming. So time is growing very, very short on the show because the army of the dead are there, and it's going to be interesting next season. It's 6 episodes, 80 minutes long at least, and I'm excited to see how they conclude this whole thing. Another thing I just want to note and praise is HBO, because both HBO Now, at least I used HBO Now when I was watching the show. I'm just assuming HBO Go worked just as well. I had 0 issues streaming any of the episodes at all, and I'm assuming there's at least like 10 million people watching at the same time. So those servers are fantastic. I never had any freezes, I never had any issues whatsoever. So thumbs up to you. But guys, those are my thoughts on season 7 of Game of Thrones. I had to really rush through it because it's a lot of content to go through. If you want to know my thoughts in any particular detail, leave it in the comments down below. I would love to discuss it more with you if you want to. And yeah, let me know how you liked it. What do you think they're going to do for season 8? How do you think the whole show is going to end? Because we are coming up on the finale of the whole series. And so, yeah, lot to go through. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, winter is coming.